Kentucky basketball took every single punch the Tennessee Volunteers could throw at them, and yet it didn't matter. The Wildcats are victorious to end the regular season.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, writer for various SEC-related things. But on this podcast, we take a dive into all things Kentucky athletics. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and that's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. You can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. On today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's 85-81 victory on the road in Knoxville to close out the regular season, according to what most bracketologists think is a number one seed, the Tennessee Volunteers. Going to talk about the positives in this game, going to talk about the negatives, and look ahead to what should be a very interesting SEC tournament. So happy that the Wildcats were able to get this dub today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day, and I want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all kinds of platforms. If you are listening on podcast, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed to the show wherever you are tuned in, and if you're watching us over on YouTube, sub. It's going to be a very fun end to the season for the Kentucky Wildcats, who played out of their mind today, so let's go ahead and get into it again. 85-81 is the final score here. Kentucky 23-8, 13-5 in conference play. Before we move on, so I don't have to reminisce about this for the rest of the season, if Kentucky had beaten LSU, had that buzzer beater not gone in, Kentucky would have won, if I'm not mistaken, 8 straight games and won the SEC title. We were one game away from that being a reality, and it's a buzzer-beating floater that goes in that keeps Kentucky out of it. But regardless, Kentucky securing a double bye in the SEC tournament. Going to talk about what that looks like later on the show. But let's start here with the 2 stars of this game for Kentucky, Reed Sheppard and Antonio Reeves. 2 players that went ballistic from 3 and from the floor. Did so many different excellent things for Kentucky in this game. Both players finished with 27 points apiece. Reed Sheppard on 9 of 14, shooting 7 of 10 from beyond the arc. Hit a couple of dagger 3-point shots there towards the end of the game. Antonio Reeves, 8 of 16 from the floor, 3 of 5 from deep. Reeves also had 7 rebounds, a steal, and a block. Reed Sheppard had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block. Unfortunately, 4 turnovers, a couple of them coming there late as Tennessee rallied and almost tied the game. Kentucky with no lead is safe with the Kentucky Wildcats, it feels like at times, even when the time is winding down. But those were the 2 guys that kind of carried the day for UK. And also you got to give a shout out to Justin Edwards, who was 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. And I said this about Tennessee in the preview episode yesterday. Kentucky cannot win a game against a team like Tennessee if they have, the opposition, has 3 different guys going nuclear from beyond the arc, hitting shots that they normally don't. And in this game, outside of Dalton Knecht, you saw Tennessee go lifeless pretty much from the 3-point line. And Kentucky was the team that was out there knocking down shots from 3 different players, Reeves, Edwards, and Sheppard. And then Rob Dillingham coming off the bench and knocking down a nice 3 there, I believe, in the second half. But 15 total threes made for Kentucky, 15 of 29 from the floor. That is 51.7%. Insane shooting split there for the Wildcats, who have really struggled at different times with shooting on the road. I was so impressed with what Kentucky basketball was able to do from beyond the 3-point line, shooting with confidence. Gotta love it from Edwards. Gotta love it from Sheppard. Really got to love it from Reeves as well, taking some difficult shots and hitting them when it mattered most. Those three guys were kind of the catalysts. You also have to give credit to Rob Dillingham, who had 11 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Decent outing for him as well. Hit a couple of big-time shots at various points in this game. But Kentucky, on offense, was able to go on the road and do things that I hope they were able to do, but were not necessarily able to do against Tennessee in the first game. And a lot of it had to do with what I think really killed them last time is grabbing rebounds, offensive rebounds specifically, and then being able to cash in on some of those as well. Kentucky with 11 offensive rebounds in this game. They won the rebounding battle in total in 42, and it's kind of offense and defense here, what I'm talking about here with the rebounding battle. Tennessee had their chances with second chance points in this game. They had 15 offensive rebounds as well. It's less than the amount they had in the first go-around at Rupp. But they weren't able to cash in a ton, it felt like. It felt like they had a ton of different second chance opportunities, but not necessarily a ton of baskets, especially early on in the game. Kentucky was really able to go out there and be physical. Reeves actually, funnily enough, led the team in rebounds with 7. Reed Sheppard had 6. Justin Edwards had 6. Thiero and Onyenso also had 6 as well. Just really, really solid performance from Kentucky, going out there and grabbing those offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds as well. Onyenso and Edwards finished with 2 second chance boards. Proud of what this team did, asserting themselves on offense, playing with confidence, playing with aggression, and they were able to go out there and knock down shots and execute. And what did we talk about when we previewed the Tennessee episode? We said that Tennessee, while very, very good, very, very, very good basketball team, and they still are, they have had a couple of lumps in conference play where they have had really poor shooting splits, and it has come against some okay defenses, and it's also been a little confusing as well. Let's talk about what we saw on the defensive end of the floor today for the Wildcats against the Tennessee Volunteers. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV Stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and television episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. And Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, from March Madness to the NBA to the MLB and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, and cooking videos as well. You can check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. And if you have not checked out Fire TV channels, you absolutely should. It's incredible. Trust me on this. To learn more, you can visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That is Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right, continuing along here on the Saturday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you again. If you have not subscribed to the podcast feed or the YouTube channel, wherever you are tuned in, I would greatly appreciate it if you went ahead and did that. Awesome game from Kentucky basketball today. They were able to, at so many different points, they were able to fight off Tennessee, rally whenever the game got close, and it pushed their lead back. Not just push their lead back to where it was kind of okay, but push it to double digits. Now, obviously, there was a massive run there at the very end of the game for Tennessee where Kentucky completely forgot how to throw an inbounds pass and then get it across half court, which I really hope does not come back to haunt them in later March Madness games. Knock on wood. But overall, Kentucky on the road got up for a big-time game, and they went out there with focus, and they won. And they did it in spite of Dalton Knecht. And I understand that Reeves and Sheppard both had amazing games. Sheppard in particular with his 7 of 10 from beyond the arc. You have to give Reeves his credit, though, for how good he is at the rim. But Dalton Knecht, in 40 minutes, he played every single minute in this game, only had 2 personal fouls. Probably should have had 2 more, in my opinion. 14 of 29 from the floor. 6 of 15 from beyond the arc, 6 of 9 from the foul line, 4 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. 40 points. He had almost half of their points. And Tennessee almost won. Tennessee was almost able to get it done. I was more focused. I know Dalton Knecht is really, really good. I was more focused on trying to shut down Zakai Ziegler from being a really efficient offensive weapon for them. I was more focused on making sure that he got into foul trouble and he was not able to distribute the ball to guys like Knecht and make things difficult on Kentucky defensively, kind of stretch them out, kind of make them move in different ways that they're uncomfortable with. And in the first half, Zakai Ziegler had 17 points. I'm sorry. He had 2 fouls. He had 17 points on the day. Reading the wrong stat here. He had 2 fouls in the first half, and he sat for most of it. And then he came back in, I believe, towards the end of the first half, and Tennessee went on a little bit of a run. And I was kind of hoping that Kentucky would be able to draw some more fouls on Ziegler and kind of make that offensive flow for Tennessee just a little bit more difficult to come by. And he did not receive a single foul in the second half. Tennessee finished with 16 total fouls, Kentucky with 20. Free throw shooting splits were insane in the first and second halves. Kentucky got a ton of free throws in the second half, and Tennessee had 13 in the first half as opposed to Kentucky's 2. Just really weird officiating. Just not good on both sides. They missed Reeves stepping out of bounds. They missed Knecht throwing a dude to the ground. It was just another night of SEC officiating from Don Daly, Patrick Evans, and Terry Oglesby. Just some mind-boggling performances for the boys in the stripes. But Dalton Knecht, because Ziegler was in the game for most of the second half, I think he was able to kind of get it going. Having that extra passing threat beside you, and also a three-point shooting threat as well. 4 of 11 from beyond the arc was Ziegler in this game, and he shot really well. I believe he was perfect, if I'm not mistaken, against Kentucky in the first go-round. But having him there, I think, caused a lot of different problems. Not as if Knecht was not going to get his, but it really did create some issues when both of them were able to play at the same time on the floor. It caused some problems. Knecht, I think, should be SEC Player of the Year. Just based on his scoring against really good opponents, obviously against Kentucky, against teams like Alabama, teams like Auburn. Knecht has been able to get things done, and he has been borderline unstoppable. When Kentucky was trying to hold UT off and was trying to extend their lead towards the end of that game, before they actually accomplished it, it was Knecht, layup, Knecht, three-pointer. And he was just hitting everything, and he cooled off there towards the end. Just a little too much fatigue. And Kentucky, with their plethora of guards, was able to kind of take advantage and still win the game. But you have to give your flowers to Dalton Knecht, who is just an excellent, excellent offensive weapon. I wanted him bad during this past transfer portal cycle when he was coming out of Northern Colorado. You saw the shooting splits. You knew he was a good three-point shooter. He had size at the wing at 6'6", and he was the catalyst for Tennessee's season. And he was the catalyst in this game. Again, had half of their points. They lost because Tennessee didn't have enough answers outside of him. Josiah Jordan-James, 2 of 9 from the floor, had 10 rebounds, 8 points. But, man, he missed some really important shots. Santiago Vescovi, 0 of 3 from the floor, 0 of 5 from the floor. One of their starters there just did not get a single bucket. And then the bench produced 6 total points. Just there were no answers. There were no solid answers outside of Dalton Knecht. And you got to appreciate what he is. But still, in the end, Kentucky and their offense and their number of players at the guard spots were just simply able to get it done. So let's talk a little bit about the SEC tournament. Let's talk about where the Wildcats are going to end up, where they should be kind of pathing out here in just a second. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. When you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It is not just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It also gives you access to professionals you just simply cannot find anywhere else. And they do all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is super easy when you have all of those quality candidates. It is so easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. You can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, wrapping up the Saturday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Big time win for the Kentucky Wildcats on the road here to finish 23-8, 13-5 in the SEC, 6th Quad 1 win, and arguably the best win of the season comes at the very end. Wildcats have won 7 out of their last 8 games against some really good opponents, I might add. They beat Auburn, they beat Alabama, they beat Tennessee, 3 of the best teams in the SEC. Really solid closeout to the regular season. You look at the SEC standings right now. Tennessee won the regular season SEC title at 14-4. South Carolina at 13-5 with their win over Mississippi State today, so they will be getting a double bye as well. They currently hold a tiebreaker over Kentucky. Alabama at 13-5 as well. Kentucky holds a tiebreaker over them. So if I'm not mistaken, as it sits right now, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Kentucky are definitely in. And if Auburn beats Georgia today, which as of right now, they are currently playing the Bulldogs, score is 21-28 in favor of Auburn with 6 minutes left in the first half. I would be curious to see how the tiebreakers kind of play out there if Auburn and Alabama are 13-5, because Kentucky holds tiebreakers over both of those teams. But I'm curious to see, because Auburn split 1-1 with Alabama, do they do it based off of Auburn having the better record at what would be 24-7 as opposed to Alabama's 21-10? How would they work that out? I would be curious. But Kentucky, I think regardless, has locked up that spot in the SEC tournament in that double bye, or getting that double bye rather. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that means they will be getting the 3 seed. And I'll just go ahead and pull this up here just to talk to you guys about kind of where this may fall. Kentucky, if they are the 3 seed, they would be playing the 6, the 14, or the 11 seed. So Kentucky would either be playing Florida, who finished 11-7, and they are the definitive 6 seed in the SEC tournament. They would be playing Missouri, who is the 14th team in the SEC right now, or they would be playing Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, who is the 11th seed at 6-11. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They are currently 6-11. If they lose to Auburn, there would be a tiebreaker there with Georgia. So yeah, Georgia would get the tiebreaker there, I think, because they split with Arkansas and they have a better overall record. So yeah, Kentucky either going to be playing most likely Florida, Missouri, or Georgia. Obviously, as we would all agree, I'd rather play Georgia or Mizzou to get things started here in the SEC tournament. If that were to be the case, Would not want to face Florida at a neutral site. We know what they are capable of offensively. Not a great matchup for the Wildcats, as we have seen, but still would be curious to see how that wraps up there. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Wildcats get it done. 6th quad 1 win of the season. You saw the highlights from the best players. Incredible game all around. Got to give Tennessee respect. They're a really good opponent. Wildcats, though, able to go on the road, focus up, and get it done. Coming into the SEC tournament on fire. We'll talk more about the SEC tournament bracket and what we can expect from UK heading to Nashville. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at @LanceDawe_, and you can follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.